So something that I pick up on a bit while hanging out on different Discord servers is that there is quite a bit of gatekeeping going on. Among F1 fans, there seems to be a No Americans club, this perpetual fear that American fans coming in will somehow ruin the series. Then there's the whole pinnacle of motorsport thing. Anyone who is not an F1 driver is useless and a failed driver. End of. Well, on the other side of the Atlantic, you've got a group of fans that are claiming that their sport is great, their drivers are better, and that more people should be watching this series. But then they got a bit aggro when Jimmy Johnson came over. Can't have those dumb NASCAR hicks watching the sport now, can we? Forget the fact that he's got 2.5 million social media followers just on Twitter versus the 500,000 or so the official Indycar account has got. But this video isn't so much about the gatekeeping and the back and forth bickering between the fans. It's more to do with perhaps that maybe the two sports are their own worst enemies. And this is mainly down to the feeder series that lead up to Europe and America's premier series. So to start with, the FIA has got its Formula 4, Formula 3, Formula 2 and obviously Formula 1 series, a more streamlined path to the top than what was there in the past, as series like Formula Renault 2.0, Formula Renault 3.5 and Formula Ford all got kicked to the curb for a more standardised way to the top. Drivers will go from karting to a regional F4 series, then the European F3 series, F2 and F1. At one point, a driver could go Formula Ford, Formula Renault 2.0, Formula 3, GP3, Formula Renault 3.5, Formula 2, Formula 1, getting his skills up over many, many years. Now, though, it seems that the FIA needs drivers to blitz their way through the three feeder series so that it's the cream that rises, albeit very quickly, to the top. You've got the younger drivers like Charles Leclerc and George Russell who did just this, and whoever wins Formula 2 you'd think is worthy of an automatic drive in Formula 1. Because they are the champion, right? But not exactly. Obviously, there is the whole situation currently surrounding Oscar Piastri, and yes, I'm determined to get my money's worth from this picture. Piastri won Formula 2 in 2021 and was left without a drive for this year, while Guan Yu Zhou has been given a seat at Alfa Romeo. Now, there are things to consider here, like the fact that when he won F2, Piastri was an Alpine Academy driver, and Renault/Alpine engines are only found at one team, so it just makes everything messy for Piastri to get a seat. Because Alonso and Ocon were still there at Alpine, there was no way in for the Aussie. But what if I was to tell you that this is not the first time this has happened? In 2012, neither the winner nor the second place driver got a seat in Formula 1. The drivers who graduated to F1 for 2013 were Gutierrez and Chilton, the latter ironically going to IndyCar later on. In 2013, none of the top 5 graduated immediately. Marcus Ericsson, another driver who has since gone to IndyCar, getting a 2014 seat over those above him. Yes, Felipe Nasr ended up in Formula 1, but he ended up there a little bit later on. But back to Piastri. He's sort of the victim of circumstance, if you will. If you then look at someone like Mick Schumacher, who was then able to get in at Haas thanks to Haas's partnership with Ferrari. And before it's mentioned, yes, there was his name as well. But this also benefited drivers like Jules Bianchi and Esteban Gutierrez in the past, who got rides with Marussia and Sauber thanks to those Ferrari contacts. You've got George Russell getting in at Williams thanks to Mercedes and Toto Wolff, and so on and so on. In fact, Zhou got his driver Alpha because he left the Alpine Academy. And on the other side of the Atlantic is the Road to Indy series. This also has 4 steps of the ladder. USF 2000, the Star Master Series, Indy Lights, and then the NTT IndyCar Series, which is the top level of American open-wheel racing. But that's where the similarities end, because the winner of Indy Lights, their GP2, F2, whatever you want to call it, gets a $1 million prize, which they can then use to help buy a seat at the top level. Checking the results since 2008, all the winners except Kyle Kaiser and Jean-Carl Vernet have gone on to do a full season of IndyCar upon winning Indy Lights. Vernet never drove in the IndyCar series proper. Now, taking into account the winners since 2005, which is the year GP2 started, all the drivers with the exception of Vernet did at least one IndyCar race in the season immediately following the season they won. That's one non-competitor in 18 seasons. For GP2/F2 winners going up to F1, that number is 4, ignoring Giorgio Pantano, who for whatever reason went back. Those drivers being Davide Valsecchi, Fabio Lima, Jolyon Palmer, and now Oscar Piastri. However, 6 drivers in the 2021 Formula 2 season didn't make it to the end because of a lack of funding. Unlike the American system, the system in Europe doesn't offer prize money, at least not enough to get onto the next level of the ladder. The winner of Indy Lights is also guaranteed a seat for at least 3 races in the following season. Unlike in Europe, it seems that IndyCar wants to keep its drivers in the sport. The prize money for the F2 champion? It's around €100,000. That's pennies. It will barely buy you a seat in Formula 4. So is it any wonder then that there are more European-based drivers making the move to IndyCar, whether they race to the top level or not? Looking at the 2022 IndyCar grid, there are quite a few drivers on the grid who were racing in Europe, F1, Japan in the last 5 years. Tatiana Calderon, Romain Grosjean, Felix Rosenqvist, Marcus Ericsson, Alex Palou, Callum Ilott and Christian Lundgaard. So if the FIA ladder is so broken in terms of the money required to get you to the top, and it means that drivers are going to have to make a move to America, what's that going to do to America's ladder? Yes, the winner of Indy Lights is going to get $1 million straight off the bat and is guaranteed to start at least 3 races the following year. But if someone coming in from Europe brings a lot more money and has raced against, and I'm sorry to say this, a higher standard of drivers, would that driver that won Indy Lights only really have $1 million and 3 race starts to his name because of the same problem that happens over here all the time? Money. Money buying the seat, money securing the seat, money securing damage repair and stuff like that. And there's also the potential of fans of Eurocentric motorsport to have a look at IndyCar. Look at the Alonso hype when he did the Indy 500, and I'm sure Scott McLaughlin has done quite a bit on top of Power and Dixon in Australia and New Zealand, potentially getting a lot of touring car fans to look at IndyCar racing. So this then brings the question. If IndyCar fans are going to look at Europe and say that IndyCar is rendering the FIA's ladder irrelevant, isn't Europe rendering IndyCar's ladder irrelevant as well? This is just something that I thought of while seeing these discussions, and I thought I would put forth the question to you to see what you think. And I'm sure there's going to be those IndyCar connoisseurs out there that will know more than me, but it's an interesting question nonetheless. So then, this is a thing I thought about, and I have presented my opinions on that thing. If this thing has made you think things about the thing, then do like this thing and leave a thing down in the box thing under this thing so you can discuss the thing at length. Also, subscribe to this thing with the bell on so you get more things from the things I do here. Massive thanks to the kind folk at Patreon for the continued support, and if you want to help join in with the image buying or just leave a tip through Super Thanks, the ways to do that are through the link in the description, the icon under the video, and there's also links to Discord and socials in that description box as well. So until next time, I've been Millward. Have a great day wherever you are in the world, and I'll see you all soon for another video. Or I could see you tomorrow instead, because I'm streaming the second round of the Historic Road Racing Championship, commentating on that championship, which is hosted by Jake at GP Laps. It's from Spa, 1966 Spa, and you all love Spa. So, until Monday or tomorrow, goodbye.